Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like a stranger was staring back? Like, somewhere along the way, you lost the person you used to be? One day, you were full of dreams, direction, a sense of purpose. And then, without realizing it, you started drifting. Maybe it happened when you landed your dream job, but after a few months, the excitement faded. Or when you reached a milestone you worked so hard for, only to feel strangely empty. You expected fulfillment. Instead, you felt nothing. Now life feels like a series of tasks. Days blur together. You wake up, go through the motions, meet expectations. You tell yourself you're fine, but deep down, something feels missing. Like a part of you was left behind somewhere, and you don't know where to look for it. You wonder if you took a wrong turn, if somewhere along the way, you lost the version of yourself that was meant to be. But what if you're not actually lost? In Jewish thought, being lost isn't about having no path. It's about forgetting the one that was always yours. Ancient wisdom teaches that the soul is born with a mission, a purpose only it can fulfill. It knows exactly why it came into this world. But life is loud. Expectations are heavy. The world pulls us in 100 different directions, each one telling us who we should be, what we should want, what will make us happy. And slowly, we stop listening to ourselves, so we try to fill the silence. We chase things that promise fulfillment, success, status, approval. We convince ourselves that if we just do more, achieve more, become more, we'll finally feel complete. And, for a moment, it works. The distractions keep us busy. The accomplishments bring a temporary high. The approval reassures us, for a while, until the feeling fades, until the restlessness creeps back in. Yet even in the quiet, something stirs. A whisper from deep within, a longing for something real, something beyond routine, beyond success, beyond the endless chase for more. Because the answer isn't out there. It's not in another job, another relationship, another accomplishment. It's in remembering who you were before you forgot. We think of being lost as having no direction, no map, no destination in sight. But what if that's not what being lost truly means? Maybe being lost isn't about wandering aimlessly. Maybe it's about forgetting why you started walking in the first place. Think about it. How many people seem to have everything figured out? They have a career, a family, a structured life. From the outside, they look like they're on the right path. They did everything they were supposed to do, followed the plan, checked every box, and yet, something still feels off. There's a disconnect, a quiet emptiness, an uncertainty they can't quite name. So maybe being lost isn't about where you are. Maybe it's about being disconnected from yourself. In Jewish thought, being lost isn't just a physical state, it's a spiritual one. The Hebrew word for sin, chet, doesn't actually mean breaking a rule. It means to miss the mark. Like an arrow that strays off course, not because it was never aimed, but because something pulled it away. And isn't that how it happens? You don't wake up one day and suddenly feel lost. It happens slowly. A small compromise here, a distraction there. You take on expectations that were never really yours. You start measuring your life by standards you never chose. And before you know it, you've strayed just enough that you can't remember how to get back. But here's the thing. Being lost doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you failed. It simply means you've been pulled away from your essence, and just like an arrow can be redirected, so can you. But before you can return, you have to stop. You have to be still long enough to notice where you are, because sometimes the only way to find your way back is to remember where you started. Because the soul never truly forgets, it just needs to be reminded. If being lost is really about disconnection, then what exactly have we lost touch with? In Jewish thought, the answer is clear. Your soul already knows the way. Before you were born, your soul was given a mission, something only you can bring into the world. a role no one else can fulfill in quite the same way. The great Jewish mystics taught that the soul carries deep, hidden wisdom. It knows its purpose, its direction, its reason for being here. But something happens when we enter the world. There's a midrash that says that before a soul is born, it is taught all the wisdom it will ever need, every truth, every insight, every guiding piece of understanding. But when it enters this world, an angel touches it above the lips, and suddenly, all that knowledge is hidden. It's not lost, just buried, waiting to be uncovered. And this is why life often feels like a search for something. Have you ever felt a quiet, unexplainable longing? A sense that there is more, but you can't quite grasp what it is? A feeling that something is just out of reach, like a word on the tip of your tongue? That's not your imagination. That's your soul trying to remember what it once knew. But because we don't remember, we start looking for answers in the world around us. We try to define ourselves through external things: success, relationships, validation from others. We chase achievements, thinking that if we just do more, accomplish more, become more, we will finally feel complete. But the soul doesn't need to find something new. It doesn't need to be filled by anything external. It just needs to remember what it already knows. This is why some moments feel different. Have you ever had an experience where something just clicked? A moment of deep clarity? A sudden understanding of something you didn't even realize you were searching for? That's not random. That's your soul recognizing something familiar, a piece of truth it once knew. And these moments aren't accidents. They are reminders. Small glimpses of the path you were always meant to follow. But how do we hear that voice again? If the world is so full of distractions, how do we reconnect with what was hidden? The first step is realizing that the answers aren't outside of you. They never were. They've been inside you all along, waiting for you to remember. If the soul already knows the way, then why is it so easy to feel lost? Because we live in a world designed to make us forget. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded with noise, messages telling us who we should be, what we should want, what defines success, happiness, meaning. Social media, advertisements, expectations from family and society, all of it pulls us outward, away from ourselves. We're conditioned to believe that our worth is something we have to prove, that who we are isn't enough on its own. So we spend years chasing an idea of success that was never truly ours to begin with. And slowly, without realizing it, we disconnect. Have you ever scrolled through your phone and suddenly realized an hour has passed? Have you ever felt restless in silence, as if you needed something, anything to distract you? That urge isn't random. It's by design. The world keeps us busy, so busy that we rarely stop to ask, is this even the life I want to be living? In Jewish thought, this is called Hester Panim, the hidden face of the divine. The idea that truth is always there, but it is concealed, buried beneath layers of distraction, ego, and illusion. It's not that the soul forgets, it's that the world teaches us to ignore it, and the longer we ignore it, the more distant it feels. Until one day, we wake up and wonder why we feel empty, why despite everything we've done, something is still missing. But the soul doesn't disappear. It never leaves. It simply waits. And the moment we slow down, when we stop searching outward and start looking inward, that's when we begin to remember. Because truth isn't found in the noise of the world. It's found in the silence between it. If the world makes us forget, then how do we remember? How do we return to the person we were before we got lost in expectations, distractions, and the noise of daily life? The first step is not to search outward, but to turn inward. In Jewish thought, there is a concept called Teshuvah, often translated as repentance, but its true meaning is returning. Not returning to some past version of yourself, but returning to your deepest, most authentic self. The person you were always meant to be, the person who was never truly lost, just buried under the weight of everything you were told to be. But to return, you have to be willing to stop. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable silence can feel? The moment the noise fades, the distractions disappear and something rises to the surface. Thoughts you've been avoiding, emotions you haven't fully faced. This is why we keep ourselves busy. Because stopping means confronting what's underneath. But that discomfort, that restlessness, that's not something to escape. It's something to pay attention to. Because it's the first sign you're waking up. In Judaism, there are ancient practices designed to help us slow down and reconnect. Shabbat, a full day of rest, is not just about avoiding work. It's about stepping away from the world's distractions long enough to hear your own soul again. Hitbodedut, the practice of personal reflection, is about speaking aloud, sometimes to God, sometimes just to yourself, processing your thoughts without judgment. And then there's stillness, the ability to just be. When was the last time you sat in complete silence? No phone, no agenda, no goal beyond simply listening to yourself? Because that is where remembering begins. The world will always try to pull you away. It will always try to keep you busy. But if you make space, if you create even small moments of stillness, your soul will begin to speak again. And when it does, you'll realize it was never truly silent. You just needed to stop long enough to hear it. If returning to yourself begins with stillness, then how do you move forward? How do you rediscover your purpose? Not just as an abstract idea, but as something real, something you can live. The answer isn't as complicated as we make it. In Jewish thought, purpose isn't something you find, it's something you uncover. The great Jewish sages taught that every soul is sent into this world with a unique role, something only it can fulfill. But that purpose isn't written on a stone tablet. It isn't handed to you in a moment of divine revelation. It's revealed slowly, through the things that pull at your heart. So ask yourself, what makes you feel alive? What moments make you forget to check your phone, lose track of time, feel a deep sense of meaning, even if no one else understands why? What do you do not because you have to, but because something inside you wants to? That's where your soul is trying to lead you. But we often ignore these things. We tell ourselves, they don't matter, they aren't practical, they won't take us anywhere, so we dismiss them. We chase what we think will bring security, approval, success, and yet the soul keeps whispering. The Talmud, Makot 10b, teaches that a person is led in the direction they truly want to go. In other words, the deepest desires of your soul, the ones that aren't about status or approval, aren't random. They're clues, but recognizing them is not enough. You have to act, because purpose isn't just a feeling. It's something you choose. It's in the way you spend your time, the things you say yes to, and the things you're finally willing to walk away from. It's in the small, quiet moments when you listen to what's been calling you all along, and when you begin to align your actions with what your soul already knows, something shifts. The restlessness fades, the doubt quiets, and the more you walk that path, the clearer it becomes. Because you were never lost. You were just waiting to remember where you were meant to go. So maybe you were never truly lost. Maybe you were simply buried, under expectations that were never yours, under noise that was never meant for you, pulled away from the voice that was always there, waiting to be heard. Your soul never forgot who you are. It never stopped knowing why it came into this world. It only needed you to slow down long enough to remember, and remembering doesn't require some grand revelation. It doesn't demand a perfect plan. It starts with something simple, paying attention. Noticing what stirs something deep inside you, what makes you feel awake, alive, connected. Noticing the moments when the restlessness quiets, when something just feels right. Here's the truth. You don't need to change everything overnight. You don't need all the answers right now. You just have to take one step, A step toward what feels real. A step away from what no longer serves you. A step toward something that brings meaning, even if it's small, even if no one else understands it. And as you take those steps, something shifts. The noise quiets. The endless searching, it finally stops. So slow down. Listen, because the moment you do, you'll realize your soul has been speaking all along.